In just a few days, millions of people will take part in a grand tradition. Yet its true meaning remains buried beneath the most massive lie in human history. We will crack painted eggs and slice through holiday bread, completely unaware that these are merely beautiful decorations, meant to distract us from the actual code for controlling reality. What you have been presented as Easter is just the packaging. It is bright, festive, and adorned with gold letters. But the substance inside was removed. It was taken away a long time ago, so carefully that no one even noticed. I am not telling you this to destroy something beautiful. I am saying this because what truly lies behind Easter is 1,000 times more beautiful, deeper, and more powerful than any holiday feast. And here is what becomes shocking when you begin to dig deeper. Every major holiday on Earth is fixed to a date. Christmas is December 25th. New Year is January 1st. Your own birthday is the same date until the end of your life. Everything is tied down. Everything is predictable. But Easter has no fixed date. It wanders. Each year is different. Sometimes it falls in April, sometimes nearly in May. Orthodox Christians have one date, while Catholics have another. What is truly strange is that almost no one ever asks why, and that is a mistake, because the answer changes everything. Easter is calculated using 3 cosmic coordinates at the same time. First, the spring equinox. That is the moment the sun crosses the equator and day becomes equal to night. Second, the first full moon after that moment. Third, the very next Sunday. 3 celestial events must align in a single row. They are like 3 gears that lock together once a year, and every time they lock at a different point. Think about that for a second. The date of this celebration could have been fixed, just like every other holiday. It could be a simple number, convenient and permanent. But instead, it was tied to the movements of the sun and the moon. The most important day of the year was made subject not to human laws, but to the sky itself. And this day was taken so seriously. There is a belief that has survived to our time. If a person dies on Easter or during the Easter week, it is considered a sign of special grace. It is not a punishment, not a coincidence, but a mark. People used to say, someone who dies on Easter is marked by God. Such a person was buried with a red egg in their right hand. It was believed that their soul had lived such a worthy life that it was granted departure on the brightest day of the year, the day of victory of life over death. Think about it, even death on this day was considered a blessing. That is the kind of power that was attributed to this moment. It was not just a holiday with bread, but a point where the very boundary between life and death becomes different. It is not a date that was chosen. It is a coordinate where something opens up. And those who understood this did not just sit at a table on this day. They acted. And today you will learn exactly what they did. Because inside Easter, a mechanism is hidden that is older than any religion. A mechanism that your ancestors used every year, and which has been very carefully hidden from you. Here is what your ancestors did during the Easter days. And when you hear this, you will understand how far we have drifted from what this day actually meant. In the sacred days before Easter, which the ancient people called Veligden, or the Great Day, they did something that will seem incredible to you. They extinguished the fire. All of it. Every stove, every candle, every hearth in every house. The whole village plunged into complete darkness. Not symbolic darkness, but real, absolute darkness. Not a single source of light. Imagine that. A darkness you have never seen because you live among screens. And then they produced a new fire by rubbing wood against wood, not from a match, not from a neighbor, not from a church candle, from zero, with their hands, with effort. This was called the living fire, a fire that has no ancestor, pure, the first. And from this one new fire, every stove in the village was lit. Every house began the year with a new flame. Do you hear the instruction? It is screaming at you. If you want something new, extinguish everything old. Do not bring the new alongside the old. Extinguish it. stay in the darkness and strike a new flame. And what happens in reality? We try to light a new life from the old fire. New relationships with old fears. We drag jealousy, distrust, and the habit of control from the past. And we wonder why the new person behaves like the old one. It is not them. It is the fire that is old. We build a new version of ourselves on an old foundation that has long been cracking. And we wonder why every time we build, everything falls apart. It is because the fire was not extinguished, because we were afraid of the darkness. And this is only the beginning. Veligden was not just one ritual, it was a whole system. The earth opened up. The power of the bloodline, which sleeps 364 days a year, stood up on Veligden. People went to the cemeteries during the Easter days long before the church moved this to a later date and made it quiet and respectable. In the original tradition, this was not a day of grief, it was a conversation with a living power. They would spread a tablecloth right on the grave. They set out food and poured drinks. They sat down beside it, and they talked to the dead out loud as if they were alive. They asked for advice. They asked for strength. They told them what was happening, what was hurting, what was not working. You might think this is superstition, but answer yourself honestly. When was the last time you felt that someone was standing behind you, that you are not alone? That there is a power greater than you, which existed before you? That power is the bloodline, and for one day a year, the channel to it is open at full capacity. But you were taught to spend this day taking pictures of bread for social media. Swings were set up across the land. It was not for entertainment. Swinging was a ritual of transition between worlds. Earth, sky, death, and life. Young women would swing to move their destiny, to push it away from a dead point. And a week after Veligden came the Red Hill, the most popular day for weddings. Because there is an order. First, extinguish the old, stay in the darkness. Strike the new fire, and only then build, create, begin. But we do it the opposite way. We begin the new without extinguishing the old, and we wonder why it does not hold. This is what the church did. It took Veligden and renamed it Easter. The living fire was replaced with a candle. The conversation with ancestors was turned into a quiet memorial. The swings were removed, and the Red Hill was forgotten. But there is one thing the church could not change. The Easter service still happens at night, at midnight. Not in the morning, not during the day, at the deepest point of darkness. And this is incredible. This is not a coincidence or a scheduling convenience. It is the last fragment of ancient knowledge that survived inside the religious rite. Every ancient tradition of renewal was conducted in darkness. People extinguished all fires and stood in complete darkness. The mysteries of ancient Greece, the Eleusinian mysteries, the most sacred rituals of the ancient world took place at night, in total darkness, in underground halls. The initiates entered absolute gloom and came out as different people. Egyptian priests performed renewal rituals in the chambers of pyramids where not a single ray of light could penetrate. 3 days in complete darkness, and a person emerged reborn. Why darkness? Why not light? Because darkness does to the body what light cannot. When you are in total darkness, the pineal gland, a small organ in the center of the brain, begins to work differently. In the darkness, it produces melatonin at its maximum. Not only melatonin, during a long stay in darkness, the pineal gland begins to produce substances that change the state of consciousness. The boundary between the conscious and the subconscious becomes thin. What is usually hidden comes to the surface. You begin to see, hear, and feel what is inaccessible in a normal state. The ancients knew this. They did not call it the pineal gland. They called it the third eye. The eye of Horus in Egypt, Ajna in India, the organ of internal vision that is activated in the dark. And that is why the darkness before the great day was needed. Not for the beauty of the ritual, but for a specific physiological process. Darkness shifts the brain into a special mode, a mode where old programs weaken and new ones can be written. A mode in which the body becomes pliable to change. The renewal mode. When the ancient people extinguished all fires and stood in total darkness, they were not just following a tradition, they were launching a process. And then, out of that darkness, they struck a new fire. The first spark in absolute gloom. The first light, born out of nothing. This is why the Easter service begins at midnight. This is why the procession walks in the darkness. This is why candles are lit from a single fire and passed to one another. These are the remains of an ancient technology, a ritual whose meaning was forgotten, but whose form was preserved. You stand in the temple at midnight with a lit candle and have no idea that you are performing a ritual that is thousands of years old. A ritual designed not to honor a memory, but to rewrite you. The code remains, but it was buried under such a layer of ceremonies and decorations that no one remembers what it does anymore. Like an ancient fresco buried under plaster, but the fresco, still alive, is waiting. And this is the great lie of Easter. You were told it is a holiday, a day to come to church, get your basket blessed, sit at the table, and be happy, and then return to your usual life. But it is not a holiday. It is a tool. A powerful tool of renewal that was used for thousands of years to literally rewrite one's life. And it was turned into a dinner party. The living fire, which was struck from the darkness with bare hands, was replaced with a store-bought candle. The conversation with ancestors was replaced with a minute of silence. The ritual of destroying the old was replaced with painting eggs. A great power was turned into pretty customs. The code of transformation was turned into a holiday table. And millions of people pass by the door that opens once a year, every year, because they were told it is just a wall with a nice picture. This is the great lie. Not that Easter does not exist, but that you were only shown the packaging and the content was taken away. But the content is intact. It has been preserved. In the ancient rites, in the biblical code of Exodus, in the myths told on every continent. And now you are going to get it. Because the ancient Slavs were not the only ones who knew. The same code is on every continent, with different names, but with the same formula. And once you see it, you will not be able to unsee it. Persephone in Greece, the daughter of the earth goddess, young, alive, bright. She is taken into the underworld. Hades, the god of the dead, carries her into the darkness, into the cold, beneath the earth. While Persephone is below, it is winter above. The earth is dead. Nothing grows. Persephone returns, and spring explodes. Everything blooms. Everything comes alive. But here is the important part that is usually not told. She did not just return. While she was below, she ate the seeds of a pomegranate. And that changed everything. Now she forever belongs to two worlds. She is not a victim who was saved. She is a being who has seen both sides. And this is what it means for you. He who has gone through his own underworld, through loss, through pain, through the moment when you stand in the darkness and see no exit, does not return as they were before. Never. They return as a person who knows the taste of the pomegranate, who has seen the darkness from the inside. And this knowledge makes them stronger than anyone who has only lived in the light. You want to return everything to the way it was? It will not happen. And it is not necessary. You will emerge as someone else, with the taste of pomegranate on your tongue. And that is not a curse. It is a gift. Consider Odin in Scandinavia, the supreme god, the most powerful. He who already had everything, power, an army, a throne. And this is what he did. He hanged himself on the world tree. Voluntarily, no one forced him. He pierced himself with his own spear. He hung for 9 nights without food, without water, between heaven and earth. And on the 9th night, he saw the runes, the knowledge, the code by which the world is written. He received what he was seeking. Not the price was a voluntary crucifixion. And this means for you that what you are looking for, clarity, direction, strength, the answer to the question of how I should live my life, is located on the other side of what you are afraid to do. It is on the other side of the conversation you have been putting off for 6 months. On the other side of the decision that makes everything inside you tighten up. On the other side of, what if it does not work, and now is not the time. Odin did not wait for a convenient moment. He knew that what he was seeking is not given to the person who stands on the ground with both feet in safety. It is given to the one who hangs between heaven and earth, who has let go of their support, who has chosen the unknown. And also the grain. If the grain does not die, it remains alone. If it dies, it bears much fruit. Every farmer knew this for thousands of years before these words were written in the gospel. The grain is thrown into the earth, into the darkness, into the cold, into a grave. The shell bursts. The grain, as a grain, ceases to exist. And only from this destruction comes the sprout. One formula. All continents. Descent, destruction, darkness, and the new. And all of this is tied to spring, to the moment when the sun and the moon meet, to the great day. And now, about what is happening to you, not in myths, but in your body, right now. Every spring, the body wakes up, like a bear, like a tree, like the earth. And here is the paradox. At the moment of awakening, you do not feel an upsurge, but the opposite. Heaviness, irritation, the sharpening of everything that was hurting. Because the body is throwing off the winter. Everything you suppressed, accumulated, and endured is coming out. A snake before molting is literally blind. The old skin pulls away and the eyes turn cloudy. It is vulnerable, irritable, not because it is sick, but because it is changing. You are that snake right now. In these last weeks, sleep has stopped restoring you. You sleep and wake up exhausted. Old pain has flared up. You snap at your loved ones over trifles. You dreamed of someone from your past, vividly. One of those dreams you cannot shake off all day. Money is leaking away somewhere unclear. You are drawn to what you know is harmful, to the screen, to food, to a person with whom everything was settled long ago. If at least 3 points match, listen carefully. This is not a sickness and not a spring vitamin deficiency. This is the molting. The body is shedding its old skin. The ancients knew this. That is exactly why the great day was preceded by fasting. Not as a punishment, not as a diet. It was help. Help for the body to shed the old before the window opens. So that at the moment when the 3 gears align, you are ready. Many people are overloaded with what the body is already trying to get rid of. And here is what is shocking when you start to look deeper. Remember, Easter is tied to 2 cosmic events, the equinox and the full moon. And this is not symbolism. It is an exact calculation based on how the cosmos affects the body. The equinox, the moment when day becomes equal to night. After it, light begins to win, and the body feels this on a chemical level. Melatonin, the hormone of darkness and sleep, begins to drop. Serotonin, the hormone of light and action, begins to rise. The nervous system literally switches from winter mode to spring mode, from the mode of preservation to the mode of renewal. And the full moon? The moon controls fluids. The tides of the ocean are not poetry, they are gravity. And that same power acts on the fluids inside you. Blood, lymph, spinal fluid, everything reacts to the lunar cycle. During a full moon, the movement of fluid in the body reaches its peak. Everything circulates faster, more intensely. And so, here is what happens. The equinox switches the nervous system. The full moon accelerates the fluids. When these 2 events coincide, the body finds itself at the point of maximum readiness for renewal. Everything inside you is moving, cleansing, and rearranging at the same time. This is why the date of Easter was tied to the cosmos, not out of mysticism, but from knowledge of the body. The ancients understood what we have forgotten. There are moments when the body itself is ready for transformation. You do not have to force it. You just have to hit the window. And Easter is that window. concrete, physical, measurable. And the fast before it is not a religious obligation. It is a way to help the body prepare, to cleanse itself before the window opens, so that when the equinox and the full moon coincide, the body is empty, light, and ready to receive the new. Those who knew this did not just fast, they prepared the body for the point of renewal, like an athlete preparing for a competition, like the earth preparing for sowing, purposefully, consciously, with an understanding of why. And now to your holiday table, to what you put on it every year, to what you eat without knowing what it is. Let us start with the Easter bread. Have you ever wondered why it has that exact shape? Not round, not flat, but tall, vertical, with a rounded top, covered in white. And nearby, by tradition, you place 2 painted eggs, always, on the sides. Now look at this not as food. Look at it as a form. It is one of the oldest symbols of fertility on earth, a male symbol, vertical, generative, carrying the creative power. In India, the very same form is honored as the Shiva Lingam, a sacred representation of the energy of creation. It is honored to this day. The same vertical line, the same meaning, power that rises and gives life. Long before Christianity, people baked a ritual bread for the spring equinox, an offering to the gods of fertility. Spring is the moment of the fertilization of the earth, and the symbol of this moment stands on your table every year. And you pour glaze over it and sprinkle things on top, without suspecting what you are looking at. And nearby stands the cheese pasca, a different form, wide, stable, open at the top. If the bread is the male principle, the energy of action and generation, then the cheese pasca is the feminine, the receiving, that toward which the power is directed. 2 principles on one table, a map of the energetic process, and you cut this map with a knife and drink tea with it, without suspecting that before you is an instruction that is thousands of years old. Now the eggs. Red eggs are the symbol of Easter, but the tradition of painting eggs and using them in spring rituals existed thousands of years before Christianity. Among the Germanic tribes, among the Romans, in ancient temples. The egg is a universal symbol of the origin of life. The world is born from an egg in the mythologies of dozens of cultures. There is not a single word about painted eggs in any gospel. It is a completely pre-Christian tradition. And why exactly red eggs? The religious version is the blood of Christ. But in the ancient languages, the word for red did not refer to the color of blood. It meant filled with life. Red is what burns, what lives, what carries power. To paint an egg red means to fill it with life force, to activate it. In the traditional Easter greeting, you are told it is a triple kiss in honor of the apostles. But what was it really? It was a ritual of spring greeting, the meeting of 2 people after the winter, after the darkness, after separation, and the exchange of life force. A triple kiss, 3 levels: body, soul, spirit. The exchange of eggs is an exchange of vital energy. This is not a simple hello. It is a ritual joining of 2 people at the moment when the energy of spring is at its peak. Long before the baptism of nations, people did this every spring. And the splashing of water the day after Easter, that is an ancient rite of spring cleansing, the washing away of the old, of sickness, of winter heaviness. Water possessed a special power specifically during these days. Do you understand what happened? Every element of your Easter table, every custom, every action is an ancient ritual. Pre-Christian, original, connected with fertility, with renewal, with cosmic cycles, and the energy of the body. The church did not create these symbols. It took them, renamed them, appropriated them, gave them a new legend, and erased the old one. The bread became an altar offering. The eggs became a symbol of the tomb of the Lord. The greeting became an apostolic custom. The splashing became a folk remnant. And that is the great lie. Not that Easter does not exist, but that you were given the packaging and the content was taken away. You were left with the form and the knowledge was removed. You perform rituals without understanding what they do, like a person pressing buttons on a remote control without knowing what the remote turns on. But the remote does turn something on. Every symbol is working. Every ritual is alive. You were just never told how to use them. And here is what else should be understood about the body during these days. The spring equinox is the moment when light begins to defeat darkness. The full moon is the peak of the lunar cycle, the moment of maximum energy. Easter stands at the intersection of these two powers, the solar and the lunar. And the body reacts. The hormonal system rearranges itself. The nervous system switches modes. The body literally prepares for renewal. The ancients understood this. They did not just believe, they knew how the body is built and how it is connected with cosmic cycles. And every element of Easter, from the fast to the bread, from the egg to the splashing of water, is a step in the system of renewal. A system that works if you know what you are doing. And now let us return to the table, to what stands before you every Easter. The egg. Everyone paints them, but the main Easter ritual is not painting. The main ritual is cracking. Two people take an egg and strike them against each other. Whoever's egg breaks loses, and no one asks why. An egg is a closed system, ideal, protected. Inside is life. But as long as the shell is whole, life does not live. It waits, in potential, in safety, in theory. And here is what is interesting. You do not strike alone, you strike against another person. Transformation does not happen in isolation. You need a collision, a person, a conversation, an event, a clash. And you do not choose whose shell cracks. You go into the collision with life, and life decides what will break. First, see the value of what you have, the years, the experience, the pain, and then allow it to break. Not out of hatred for the old, but out of respect for what is being born. And before I give you a practice, stop and ask yourself honestly, what in your life is already sending signals? What is trying to tell you it is time? Because life is not silent. It sends signs. First a quiet one, then a louder one. And if you do not hear them, it screams. This is what it looks like. Money that came in stably begins to leak away. Not a disaster, but constantly. A fine, a repair, an unexpected bill. A debt that has grown unnoticed. What fed you stops feeding you. You earn the same, but at the end of the month you have zero. Every time. As if something invisible is taking away exactly enough so that it is not enough. Small troubles crawl in from everywhere. Not one big problem, but 10 small ones at once. The phone broke. The tap leaked. You were late. You forgot something. You lost your keys. You scratched the car. Individually, it is nonsense. Together, you are suffocating. And the strangest thing is, all of this falls on you in the same period. Not spread over a year, but in a row, like on a schedule. Irritation out of nowhere. The patience that lasted for years is gone. You snap at your loved ones over trifles. Someone did not put the cup down right, and inside is an explosion disproportionate to the cup. You do not understand what is wrong with you. Before you could swallow it, but now you cannot. Something inside refuses to endure. An obsessive thought that will not let go. Maybe throw it all away? Maybe start over. Am I living someone else's life? You chase it away, it returns. At night, in the shower, behind the wheel, it hums, it gives you no peace. Something you invested in is dying. A project you built for 2 years, a friendship that seemed to be forever, a job you leaned on, a habit that kept you afloat. The support disappears from under your feet, and you do not understand what to stand on now. The body begins to scream. The back, the head, the skin, the stomach. What used to occasionally ache becomes something you cannot ignore. Doctors say everything is normal, but the body burns. Because you cannot deceive the body. It knows before you do that it is time. You dreamed of someone from the past, not just a flash, but vividly, in detail, so that you go through the whole day under the impression. A person you have not seen in 5 years. A situation that happened 10 years ago. The subconscious pulls from the archive what you did not close and spreads it before you. And the deepest sign is when what you love most goes away. A relationship you thought was forever, a dream you carried for years. Life takes exactly the last thing you are holding on to, because exactly that is what prevents you from moving. This is not a punishment, it is a signal. Like a mother screaming at a child running toward the road, not out of anger, but out of love, because she sees what the child does not see. How many such signs have you counted? If it is more than 3, life has been knocking for a long time. And every next sign comes stronger. Not because the world is cruel, but because you are not listening. The question is not whether there will be another sign. There will be. The question is whether you will hear it before it becomes deafening. Now, what to do? Specifically, by the days. The night before Easter, extinguish the light. Remember, the ancestors extinguished all fires. The village was in total darkness. Put the phone in airplane mode. Turn off the television. Put out the light. Stay in the darkness. Extinguish everything. The feed, the arguments, the expectations. Every foreign fire you warmed yourself with instead of your own. The feed. You warm yourself with other people's lives, other people's travels, other people's light. That is not your fire. The arguments, every quarrel you have been having for 2 years about the same thing. The complaints, they smolder and smoke, but they never keep you warm. Extinguish everything. And when everything is out, silence, darkness, nothing. You will feel how unusual it is, how it draws you to turn something on, even a light, even a phone. That is normal. That is your body, used to foreign fire, asking to have it back. Do not give it back. Stay in the darkness. The ancestors stood in it, and you will stand in it too. In this darkness, there is one question, quietly, inside. What do I want to be free from? Do not think. Do not analyze. The first thing that comes, that is it. The job, a person, a habit, a fear. One word. Write it down in the darkness, by touch. It does not have to be beautiful. It has to be real. Easter morning, strike the flame. The first thing you do in the morning, do not take the phone. First question, what do I really want? Not what is right, not what others will approve, not what is realistic. What do you want? Write down the first thing that comes. Do not edit it. If it comes to leave everything and go away, write it down. If it comes to start painting, write it down. Even if you are 52 and have not painted since childhood, this is the living fire, a spark struck from the darkness, without ancestors, without justification, yours. On Easter Day, break. One action, one. Small, concrete, but from your fire. Call and say what you have been silent about. Send a resume to where it seems impossible. Delete the number that should have been deleted long ago. Say no to the one you always said yes to. Say yes to what you have been running away from. Unready, imperfect, but free. Step out with what you have. The second and third days after are the spirit days. And here is what no one talks about. After the great day, the ancestors had the spirit days, the days of the dead. Spirits are the souls of those who have passed. Why after the feast of life come the days of the dead? Because when you light a new fire, the old does not disappear, it returns. It checks you. On the second day after your decision, that very person will call. An opportunity will appear that looks suspiciously like your old life. A thought will surface. Maybe I overreacted? Someone will say, are you sure? These are the spirits, the dead things knocking at the door and checking. Are you serious? The ancestors were not afraid of these days. They prepared for them. They put food outside the threshold, showing respect for the dead and gratitude for what was. but they did not let them into the house. Honor the past, thank it, but do not let it back in. Thank you. You were there, you taught me, but you do not enter this house anymore. If you stand firm during these days, you have emerged, truly. And now, what no video and no sermon tells you. Everyone tells you what to do on Easter. No one tells you what to do after. And after is where most people break. Remember the biblical story of the Exodus? The people left slavery, crossed the sea, and thought that freedom came next. Not next came the desert. And after a week, they wanted to go back. There, at least, they were fed. There, at least, it was clear. This is not an ancient story. This is your experience. You left a job and after a week you thought, maybe it was not so bad. You ended a relationship and after 3 days at night, you took the phone. Not to call, just to look at the stories. And after 20 minutes, you were already typing. Hi, how are you? This is the desert, the territory between the old and the new, the most unbearable place. Because in the old life, there were at least walls, but here, there is nothing. For 40 years, those people walked through the desert, not because they were lost, but because it was necessary for the habit of slavery to leave every one of them. You can leave in one night. To stop being a slave takes a generation. From Easter to the Ascension, it is 40 days. Christ in the desert, 40 days. Moses on the mountain, 40 days. Lent, 40 days. This is not a random number. 40 days is the period during which the old finally dies and the new takes root. This is what will happen after your step. The first days, an upswing, a lightness that has not been there for a long time. This is real. But it is the adrenaline of escape, not the finale. And then the euphoria ends, and you are left alone with the emptiness. Without the old and without the new. And the main enemy is not fear, it is boredom. Freedom without content feels like emptiness, and emptiness pulls you back. Not because the old is better, but because it is at least clear there. This is the moment when most people quietly return. Well, I tried. No, you reached the desert and chose the familiar cage over the unfamiliar freedom. Do not fill the emptiness. A seed under the ground works in silence. Do not dig it up to check. Then a wave will come. Irritation, anger, rage at everyone, at yourself. Why did I endure for so long? At them. Why did no one tell me? This is normal. In the old life, you could not be angry. There you had to endure. But you do not endure anymore. The body throws off everything that has accumulated. Do not direct it at people. Walk on foot. Fast for a long time. The body knows what to do with this energy. And then, silence. Neither joy nor sorrow. Nothing. It will seem to you that you have broken. No. You have become clean. This is the great Saturday, the silence between death and resurrection. You are being formed anew, like clay on a wheel. Do not rush it. And when these weeks pass, you will begin to notice, not fireworks, but quiet things. You wake up and do not reach for the phone, not because you forced yourself, but because you simply do not want to. You say no to someone easily, without guilt, and you will not replay it in your head afterward. These are the sprouts. And this is critically important. Every morning of these 40 days, return to your living fire, to that answer you wrote down in the darkness. What do I really want? Read it again, every morning, because the desert erases memory. After 2 weeks, you will forget why you left. After 3 weeks, you will forget what you left behind. After 4 weeks, you will remember the old life with nostalgia. The piece of paper with the answer is your map, your compass in the desert. Take it out every morning. Read it. Keep going. 40 days. As long as the ancients knew. As long as it takes for the old in you to die finally, and for a free person to stand on their feet. Easter is the only day without a fixed date, because it is not a holiday. It is a window. All your life you were told that Easter is about bread, painted eggs, and the resurrection of Christ. That is the great lie. Not that Easter does not exist, but that you were shown a postcard instead of a map, a festive package instead of a tool that changes life. Now you know what is inside. A living fire that is struck from the darkness, a grain that must be destroyed in order to sprout. 40 days of the desert in which a free person is born. In a few days, the world will paint eggs, sit at the table, and say words whose meaning they have long forgotten, and they will return to the same things. But you now have a choice: to extinguish the old fire, strike the new, and take the step. Veligden, a great day. It is already here. You have 40 days starting from the great day. 40 days from which you will either emerge free or return back. Write in the comments what you want to be free from, what you want to get rid of. Right now, on the eve of the great day, these are not just words, it is an intention. And an intention, recorded physically while the window is open, while the 3 gears are aligning, becomes your living fire. What you write in this moment becomes your light struck from the darkness. Subscribe. Go to the Telegram channel. The link is in the description. There I will be beside you for all 40 days. I will see you after the great day.